Hi, welcome to another edition of Fly Tying with the Montana Angling Company. Me again. Today we're going to be tying the Little Green Machine, one of our favorite little mayfly patterns for pickier tailwater fish. Slim body, lot going on, a lot of fish grabbing attention. Cool, so to start with, we'll be using a Hanak 230 BL nymph hook, sort of my go-to one, really strong, barbless, and a copper tungsten bead. This is a size 16. You know, this Hanak hook, though, really comes out to more like kind of on the smaller, and it's not a very long shank. But yeah, we'll tie in our A-dot Camel uni thread to sort of go along with the theme of this fly. And you know, this fly works really well as both a Baetis imitation, but also a PMD later in the summer. And today, you know, in this 16, I'm kind of thinking of it more as like a PMD. But, you know, you could probably fish it during some of the bigger Baetis hatches too and be just fine. And so we'll measure out 6 or so pheasant tail fibers, just make sure they're about the same length. I'm not one to worry ever too much about those kind of things, because there's one thing I know is that the fish definitely don't worry. Give it 2 little wraps, and we'll just kind of measure out the tail. I like leaving it a little long, especially on these Hanak shorter hooks. Actually pull it back out a little even. Yeah, there we go. Tie it back, kind of all the way back a lot of times with these Hanak hooks. And yeah, bring it back forward, and we've got our tail in place. Just some great high quality pheasant tail fibers. And for the body, we're going to use red micro tubing. It's hollow on the inside, compresses, helps keep that thin profile that these trout are kind of hoping to see. Let's just snip off a little piece there and then tie it in at the front. And then what I like to do is just stretch it back, chase it back there with the thread. And you definitely want to make sure with this micro tubing that your kind of body profile is established with the thread. The micro tubing really does compress really well, and so pretty much it's only going to be as thick as your thread is. So we'll just start by kind of palmering it forward, trying not to catch those pheasant tail fibers, even though it can be easier said than done a lot of times. And you know, with this particular size, that 16, probably could get away with the midge tubing as opposed to the micro tubing. Save you a couple wraps, speed it up a little, but I just like keeping that thin body a lot. And then we'll bring it all the way forward and then tie it off, leaving enough room for our wing butts and abdomen, or thorax rather, at the front. Couple extra wraps to secure it all down, and then we'll go ahead and take our medium sort of pearl flash tinsel. Could use a piece of flash Shabu. I like this Vivus stuff. It's a cooler, kind of a little bit different color than a lot of the pearl tinsels, and it's just stronger than hell. I mean, you'd have to crank on it to tear this stuff. And this will be our flashback material. So I'll tie it in, just a couple loose wraps, measure it out, walk it back. And it's alright to wrap over that micro tubing, as you'll see pretty quickly this fly. You don't have to be too precise in this part, because we're going to pile a bunch of material kind of in the front of this fly. And that's sort of kind of how I like tying it. You know, normally I kind of like making sure everything's real even, but with this one, don't really have to worry about that as much. We'll just get a nice piece of now white McFlyon. You know, just kind of want to make sure there's no shorter fibers in there, and just a sort of medium clump of it. Definitely, you know, I would say maybe a 1/6 or a 1/4 of a strand. Yeah, we'll tie it in sort of merkin style. Try and walk it back to that sort of midpoint between the flash and the bead, but not terribly important. Yeah, and then I like to leave it right there, and then we'll get our olive brown ice dub. And you know, this dubbing, it's kind of funny, the hairline's definitely changed the color on it. If you look at some of the older green machines, they're not really quite this green. They're more, you see a lot of that purple in there, but it works just fine with the newer dubbing too. The fish to have not seemed to mind so far. And yeah, we'll just put in just, I mean, the smallest amount. We're not trying to build a lot of bulk here. It's just a little bit of eye-grabbing attention for the fish. And we'll just X-wrap it, you know, just kind of keep that sort of merkin thing going. bringing our thread back and forth, and then I like one last wrap at the front, and then you can just kind of pull off that excess dubbing, because with ice dub, it's not on there that well in the first place, and it just doesn't really matter. Yeah, pick it clean, and then we'll bring our flash back over the top, tie it in for sure. Gonna get it nice and straight. One wrap, two wrap, and then bring in our scissors and give it just a little snip, and we're pretty much done. Another real quick, easy tie, kind of that sort of guide fly type deal. And you know, my fly tying philosophy very much is quick and durable. I mean, that's kind of what I'm looking for in a bug. You know, I'm not hoping to spend, unless it's a dry fly that, you know, I don't first need a ton of, and then secondly, you know, quality matters a little bit more. I'll spend a lot of time tying it, but otherwise on these smaller nymphs, it's got to be done quick. You know, I'm not going to do a 12-step tie. And then, yeah, so as you can see, we've got these long extended pieces of the wing butts, and all we want is just to pull them back and just kind of measure them out to sort of where you want them, and just get this nice long white wing case, and we're done. Our little green machine, 16 barbless hook. Cool fly. Thanks for watching.